Yeah. So these are signs of detecting the pregnancy. Okay. In the cow. So when they are pregnant, what happens in the first trimester? You have to feed them well, okay, with fresh grasses and then legumes, okay. You have to feed them with a balanced ration. You give them clean water, okay, clean health care. You handle them gently just to avoid, or prevent, abortion, more caring. That's why when if it's possible, you separate them from the head, okay. You group all pregnant ones, aside, so they don't end up being fought by others. So with your housing, okay, you avoid slippery floors, and then you always have to ensure that they enjoy good ventilation. So some of these things, even when you don't know anything, okay, just assume it's your wife who is pregnant, okay. Just assume that okay, you have a pregnant human being, and so how would you treat it? I mean, all the goodies you want to do to human beings. I mean, you can think of that. I mean, they are equally. We are higher versions of animals. So you avoid long distance of working to reduce stress. That is when, if it's possible, you have to, feed them. Okay, go and cut food for them. You do so, and then you prepare for, their labor, okay, patrition. So you monitor closely. Okay, you clean and disinfect, the calving pen. Okay, then you provide a well-bedded area for the calving. I mean, the cows that will come. Just a minute. So now we're talking about, when they are pregnant. So now when they are giving birth, let's go there. So if you observe what they say, okay, just like human beings from when they are young girls to their ordained behavior, okay, until they get pregnant, how you're supposed to treat them, okay, and then when they can be pregnant all their life, they have to give birth. Okay, so you have to go to when they're going to give birth. Patricia, okay, usually occurs, around like I said earlier, 272 days, but the average is around 283 days. And so it's ideal to move the cow to a clean and a calving pen or a quiet pasture area before the due date. You don't wait the day your wife is going to give it. That's why you start preparing the hospital in one or call hospital when or call they have to set up a basket, they have to buy this. You don't wait until the day your wife is going to hospital before you start thinking of what she may need as pregnant when to deliver at the hospital. You don't do that. So same way with the animals, so you prepare ahead. Human beings get pregnant for 9 months and they deliver. So you know that if they need 283 days, okay, they are 240 days. You get things ready before the due date. So signs of calving, okay, enlarged udder. So you see, just like in human beings, you want to see you see people with quite a bit. Let me use the word relatively small body size, and then get pregnant, and because of hormone imbalance and stuff, they get bigger. Their breasts get heavier. In the case of the animal, the breast is what we refer to as the udder. The udder gets it gets heavier. You get it, and then the vulva also swelling. Okay, there you always want to see some ligaments around the tail end. Okay. Then let's talk about the carving process when they're giving birth. What happens? The amniotic fluid is released. Okay, I mean hormones such as oxytocin are released, which helps the contraction of the uterus. Okay, the amniotic fluid is then released, and then it pushes for the photos to be expelled. Okay, and then most of the times in the animals, the fetus will the fetus will only come out with the head laid over the forelegs for ease of passage. Okay, and after this, the placenta is expelled and it is buried. But you have to take note: the cow must never be allowed to eat the placenta. And if the placenta doesn't come out, okay, you have to call for the veterinary personnel to attend to you. I mean, if it goes beyond 5 to 8 hours, I mean, just like you say, human being, who naturally at the end of my, you see, I mean, we definitely have the same physiology. I mean, the same physiology. So after that, you have to watch when they are done with Patricia. You have to watch them. Okay. So I mean, you clean the animals, you do all those things, and then right after bed, after patrician, you do what you clean the animal, you identify, you tag them. In the case of animals, unlike even human beings in the hospital, they tag you. Okay, they tag you. You're more attitude way, but especially in the maternity ward, all those things happening there. Before they will end up switching babies, and then you may think that your wife cheated. Meanwhile, it's just a mistake from a midwife. Because if your baby is switched at the hospital, when you do a DNA, it will be obvious that the result will still tell that the baby is not yours, and it could be anything. It's either your wife cheated or your baby was swapped. So that's why we do the tagging, the tattooing, the branding, okay, the ear notching. Those are means of identification in what? In the animals. So management of the calf after patrician. How would you care for the newborn? Okay, human beings. How would you care for the newborn? Usually, when they are born, okay, they've been bred on two basic systems, either a natural system or the artificial. Okay, so for the natural rearing, the natural rearing allows the animal, the calf to stay with the dam, okay, and suckle freely. Although I mentioned when they want to suck the udder, okay, every 5 minutes, because they are with their mother, they will do it. It's just that you have given birth to a boy who is stubborn, opening mommy young but not coming in that. Every single one wants to stop breastfeeding and they start crying. The same thing with the animals. Hannah, why are you giving the thumbs up? Why are you sharing your story?
No, sir, I'm just laughing.
Yeah, just laughing. But these are the questions you ask and you'll be laughing on the paper, right? Anyway, but these are very practical concepts. Okay, these are very practical concepts. They are things. I mean, yeah. It's in everyday life. You see them all the time. It's with humans, it's with animals. There are no changes. The only difference is that one is an animal, one is a human being. It's the same thing. So in the natural world, I mean, this also includes the cow, the cow calf, I mean the single suckling system, okay, and then the nest cow, okay, multiple suckling system. So usually, in a natural rearing, okay, the calf will remain with the calf for between 6 to 9 months. That's most of the time in a local setting, okay. Like you see with the Fulani group and all that. I mean, most of the time that's the difference. I mean, they may stay between 6 to 9 months. There's some few, I mean, 10 months, but most of the time within 6 to 9 months they should. But what do you say about the natural, rearing? We say that the calves that are naturally raised, okay, are stronger and then they grow faster. Because every single moment, every single moment, even when the even when the cow is sleeping, the baby still want to suck. the cow should be fed or allowed to suck. You know, they should be fed or allowed to suck this word. Somebody should pronounce this word for us.
Cholesterol.
Good. So if I ask you, what are the importance of cholesterol to the calf? You should be able to tell me what is the importance of cholesterol. What is cholesterol in the first place, and then what is it important to the calf? What is cholesterol, and then its importance to the calf? To first know what cholesterol is, okay, and then the second thing is the main importance of cholesterol. You should know.
So cholesterol is
Even
the
I,
first.
mm,
Cholesterol is the first milk from the mother, and it is usually yellowish in color.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And what is the importance of it? You are right.
So it contains, I think, most nutrients that will sustain for the, let's say, the calf for some while. Then also some antibiotics, something like
Okay,
that.
okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, on point. Yeah, on point. You understand what they are saying. So I'll urge you to find out the right answer. But basically, that is it. The first yellow milk, the first yellowish milk that comes, okay, and it is good because it helps you build immunity. It helps the cow build good immunity. That's all the antibodies in there. I mean, to help build the calf. Then let's go to the artificial rearing of calves. Now we know about the natural, and we are now going to artificial. So for the artificial, the calves are fed with replacers with restricted access to the dow's milk or the mother's milk. You see, I used to be a own a banana. Oh, did I own a colana? I see no any phone in so name. Now your man and one, your man colana and one artificial food. Just the day the baby came out of the thing, and they started feeding the baby with artificial food. Then and one and all the other classes. Okay, see it in this perspective. They don't take, those animals are not fed with, the milk from the dam. So feeding is done by, bucket or nipple drinkers. Okay, nipple drinkers. I don't mean nipple as in ubieni for no. Then you see, even the tip of the udder. Okay, the one we call it, we call it the teat. But the nipple. Okay, what the feeders the animal use. Okay, the feeders and the drinker. Okay, the tip is what we call the nipple. That's a standardized scientific name. We call those the tips of the feeders, nipple. To calf, I mean, usually you also want to you have to train the calf to get used to how to assess the feed. So a kind of coaching. You make them feel okay. Once you get closer to this, you get your mouth close, water will come, milk will come, feed will come, and then once they are used to, I mean, animal today, the behavioral science, they also learn fast. They get used to. Then solid food, okay, solid feed, then good forage are introduced from the third week onwards. And then because they are young with relatively weaker immunity, strict hygiene is very essential under this system. Because the least mistake you make with microbial contamination, microbial loads, you are going to lose your calf. You get it? So common is in dairy production. Natural rearing is preferred if it's for the big system. The dairy production, why? So why do you think, okay, that the artificial feeding system or rearing calves is often employed in the dairy system? Anyone with an answer?
So the question again.
Why do you think? Why do you think the artificial rearing system of calf is often promoted in the dairy farm production system and not the beef production system? Did you hear the question? Did you get a question? Did you get a question, or I should repeat again?
Sir, please repeat the
Yes,
question again.
please.
Okay. What I'm saying is that why do you think, okay,
Okay, sir.
that the artificial system of raising cows are preferred, in the dairy production instead of the beef production?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, I want to share.
Go ahead and answer.
I think the artificial media, since they are not being fed naturally, they don't have a tough skin. Their skin is not all that soft that can be used as meat, as a meat production, but they can produce a lot of milk. They produce a lot of milk, and their skin are not that soft that can be used as meat or beef. So I think that's why they are considered as the dairy production more than the beef production. Thank you.
Okay. So basically, you see, in the dairy production, the goal of feeding, okay, the goal of the production is what? Milk production, dairy cattle, milk production. You remember, I had already introduced to you the types, okay, where we spoke about, either for meat, okay, for milk, or the dual purpose, or for traction. I mean, you remember you already discussed the production systems in the previous slide. We already discussed the production systems. So in a dairy production, the goal of the production is for milk production. Okay. So why do you have to allow the your a calf to be sucking the milk calf for 9 months? Now the only being now what Tom provide you sika. And just imagine if the calf is a male, okay. I say what wakwala be man no. Now the now open no for. Oh you know about. So you quickly separate them and start giving them something else so that the mother can produce the milk for you to sell. And just imagine you have somebody like Abdullah, I mean, forgive my language. I mean, suppose Abdullah is a calf, okay? Now, so Nkunuma, they be akwani benu, they be akwani benu. So if you're expecting 100 liters of milk, Abdullah Nkwabenu be
So,
80. The production will go, you run at a loss.
are you a priest? It seems
He
you're a
said,
priest. Yeah, Abdullah. Um,
anyway, that's just my way. But you see, in the case of a beef cattle, okay, the goal of the production is to produce meat. You remember I had already mentioned to you when we were doing the breeds of cattle. Remember we already spoke about the milk producing type, the beef producing type, and then the dual purpose, the breeds that are reared for either milk or meat at the same time. Okay, so that is it. If you have something like that, you should be smart about that. Can we go on? All right. So calves are kept indoors for up to 6 months before grazing. Okay, common in dairy production, natural. I mean, effect. So what happens afterwards? You know, other management practice, you do the dividing, the castration, the weaning from liquid to liquid feed by 16 weeks. Okay, 16 weeks will be about 4 months, right? So once they are 3.5, 4 months, quickly now you start giving a solid feed. One person will work. But in a natural system, in a natural raising, you see them. Even when you see the full new boys, you can see them. When you see the head going to graze, okay, you see the calves in between them. Even while they are grazing on the pasture, okay, you see they will intermittently stop and then they will circle small. It's very common. So we have a similar system with the goat and sheep. Are we ready to go through that? To go through that. Now let's go and then be talking about their housing. So by the end of the session, I mean to be able to know, the principles that governs, housing of animals. The animals, there are some of them. If you don't drive a tundra or you don't live in a good house, they will not come to your house or they will not visit you. Some of them, but unfortunately, they don't have that power. We have to state the difference between the housing types, in the ruminant production, okay? Then identify the different housing needs for different ruminant livestock. So housing requirement for ruminant production. The considerations you have to make, okay, when you have to design a housing unit. What do you have to consider when you're designing a house? Okay. The building must be sited on a well drained and not undulating floor. Near firm basabasabia, I mean, you can't even stand properly. I mean, a well drained environment, okay. I mean, flat enough, very good. There must be proper and adequate ventilation, okay, and illumination in the building. I say one from a form. No more job, the smell. I mean, that it doesn't get so stuck there. I mean, the place should be ventilated enough. When the place is also well ventilated, it avoids the spread of diseases, okay, infections and all that. Get reduced when the place is well ventilated. And then they need some bit of light in there. So you see how crowds are built, okay. As someone desire white tea crashing, baby. Or there's a place where they can, enjoy some sun, some sunbathing and all that. And the place will be illuminated enough. There must be no drought or condensation, in the building. The building must also have must be well positioned, okay. The feeders and drinkers, I mean, should be properly positioned. Not that the rural structures now, okofi anymore, bedroom no ha, benantia, be 500 meters before you go into the washroom, okay. Na kitchen is such a corner, no baby. I mean, scattered apart. I mean, if you want to enter the ofi, then I told you track a call a kind we always call the influencer. We have called. I mean, not that. I mean, yeah, for a pen or a car. I mean, those things you will provide. I mean, now you have to make all the considerations where their source of water will be, okay, and all that. The body must be easily accessible. These days, most people who are building cattle craft and that are doing very well. I mean, yeah, the places are often, accessible by, by car or by where you need to access any service, it becomes a bit easier. The surrounding must not be bushy to prevent predators or the disease vectors. This is self-explanatory. The surrounding must be cool, okay, dry and then free from drought with access, pasture or outside all the time. So the housing system, okay, the type of housing system, okay. So this is an old science you guys know. I mean the intensive, okay, the extensive and then semi-intensive, semi-extensive. So with the house system for extensive cattle production, okay. Under the extensive cattle production, In Ghana, there is no standard, housing types. Over Ghana, we don't have any standard housing types. Okay. And it's very common with us that most of our farmers keep their cattle, under the extensive system. Cattle are kept in open places. I mean, well shaded in barns or kraals, and I mean, it's the intensive system that will have that. Oh, we're talking about extensive system. What is extensive system? Semi-intensive. Okay, talking about intensive first. So I'm just picking up it. So forgive me. Yeah. So with let's switch to the intensive. For cattle, okay, simple night shelter provided after grazing. Okay, usually I mean that's a typical thing. You see the Fulani boys. Now one for baby near BS the one you go now so one for from the other. And the common structure is the kraal. I mean an open enclosure where animals are tattered. I mean when we talk of tattered, I mean not they are one some come and I of now baby. And most of the times the kraals you see are both the local material. Then you wouldn't one is in Jubu on the concrete paper see abroad. Who have ever seen that? Who has ever seen that? So for how's the system for intensive cattle production? Oh, then my heading is wrong. Okay. Space allowed about 2 to 3 meters per adult cattle. Okay, depending on the head size. Okay. The housing must have feeders, water trough, and then enough space for daily operation. Yes, for intensive, yes. Then concrete, non-slippery floors, with proper drainage and individual pens for calves, bulls, and nursing calves are essential. So when it comes to university, university of Cape Coast, the teaching and research farm, okay, what we're talking about, you may see them there. I mean, you may see the crowd and stuff. Then when we talk of the extensive of, I already mentioned communal extensive. Then for the semi-intensive, okay, so cattle, we don't really do the semi-intensive. We are now talking about the semi-intensive housing for goat and sheep. How different do you think that would be for from the cattle? Did we ever talk about the categories of the ruminants where we talk about based on size large ruminant and small ruminant? Did we talk about that earlier in the previous meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
okay, that's fine. So in the case of housing for the goat and sheep, okay. I mean, for intense system, I mean, the intense same intense system, the housing is entirely roofed. I mean, most of the times the goat pens are always roofed. And then they usually require a lot of sophisticated, sophistication their construction is very expensive. I mean, in the case of intense system. And then it's often associated with, high production, high productivity. That's why they provide all the animal needs for them. That's why they provide all that the animal needs for them. So most, for the intensive and most of the government institutions like the Nungwa farms, okay, the Jura breeding station for sheep, the Kintampo breeding station, all those old breeding station, animal breeding station in Ghana, okay, that's where this same intensive system are always practiced. And then usually there are some simple housing for the animals, okay, and then the animals are usually kept within the fence area where they are allowed to come out and then they graze. I mean they always have pastures for them. Yeah, the housing system in the housing unit will always have some slated floors, okay, for the animals to sleep. Then there are hay racks that are often made available, okay. So hay racks, feeders, and drinkers are provided in the pens and a moderate roof height. The material may, of course, the material may always be depend on the available funds. Most of the times, it may depend on the funds that are available. That is what we actually call for the housing and the design type. And for extensive sheep and goat production, you see, sheep and goats, most of their stuff are in common. Okay, that's why we feed them together. So if it's about sheep, it's about goat. I mean, literally. So most sheep and goats in Ghana are kept under the extensive system where animals are allowed to go out and search for their own food and then water and then come back. And now when you're careful, now one point is just so not contribute and not boom. It happens all the time. There was a time I was going to do some food. I came. I was very tired. I was getting some really. I sat down and I had a phone call. Before I could reach out to my phone, the food I was going to eat, a goat had picked it. Didn't do anything. So they go around, they scavenge for their own food. They are punching as for doing. You see that thing. Because most of our method of raising them are always, extensive. There are some form of shelter, okay, in the night, or sometimes no provision is made for their housing. Whether a shelter is provided, simple open shed made for, made of, cheap roofing material, thatch roof, provided that it just provided, for some mini level of, protection. In most cases, the floor is rammed and then well drained. In some cases, the animals are tethered behind, the house in the open, as with, subsistence, farmers. Who have a corner on Nankasa or punching to near Punjibu, oh, just behind the house somewhere, behind the kitchen somewhere, yes. And I just want to put you out there, want to come over. So for any of these, two systems, okay, the floor area required, by the adult animal range from 1.5 meters square to 2.5 meters square. Are you with me? So what have we just looked at in this unit, with regard to the housing? Just somebody should just summarize that for us. What have we said so far about the housing? So the housing system, okay, depends on the purpose and then the productive system, okay. And we've already spoken about the intensive, semi-intensive, and extensive system. And we have mentioned that they all require different, housing mode from a more simple to a more complex, a more sophisticated, approach. And then I stated clearly that Ghana had you can hardly see, an intensive, goat, or sheep production. So it is in recent time that I think I saw a video of, somebody who is into full-time goat production, a commercial. But hardly do you see people, providing an intensive housing and care for, these animals. Extensive, system use, basic shed with, cattle roofs and then, round floors. So the last unit of this session, the last session of the unit, okay, we are going to discuss, the feeding requirements of these livestock, the food requirements. Do you think feeding animal, the feed and feed requirement of animal is also an important thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you think all animals require the same feed types and quantities, irrespective of the ruminant or livestock, age, physical, condition, and all that? Do you think they require the same feed? So we have different feeding regime for different animals, and in different physiological states. Just like when human beings, the women are pregnant, they will say, "Oh, and then we count the way, and then we count the way." The animals, when they are pregnant, you have to give them feed, that will sustain them. Or when you want to get them pregnant, you remember I already said that okay, you have to, give them some quantities, just to, help them conceive proper. Okay, so based on the physical state, their activity and all that, I mean, you have to, provide a feeding regime, okay, that will match that state that they are in. So we discuss, the protein requirements for ruminant livestock. We discuss, the mineral requirements, for ruminant livestock. So energy and protein requirement for cattle. In cattle production, there are two, types mainly. I mean, like I already indicated, the beef and the dairy cattle. Okay, so energy and then protein are needed by the animals, based on their metabolic, rate, physical state. Okay, or whether for maintenance. For beef production, in addition to maintenance, the animal requires energy for muscles to build up, okay, just to deposit more flesh so that they get bigger early, that you can start to get your money. Remember, your goal is to sell the animals for beef, and usually we want to select animal with good feed conversion efficiency. Like I think I even mentioned that in the in the lecture in the course of the week that it's like with human beings, some have got very poor feed conversion efficiency. You can feed Hannah and somebody the same feed, the same rice, okay, the same fish. The other person will eat and become a bolo. They will give Hannah 10 years, double the feed, and even increase the protein content. Hannah will still remain a slim young woman. You get it? It means she has got very poor feed conversion efficiency and can, or yeah, boy, and I can't find any because of my worker. Would the deer, or once they just absorb the nutrients and then they will just flash all the rest as feces. Meanwhile, you want you to convert that into muscle mass. Okay, if you are for actually beef production. So energy and then protein are required for maintenance. Okay, I mean growth, pregnancy, and milk production. Somebody is asking, Hannah, Hannah, explain to them. Am I lying?
No, wakasa me boss say hana ye aboabone.
Hannah, oh, okay. You just try to
Prince.
explain. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, yes, yes. So you see, you remember, when we were talking about breeding, okay, selecting a breeding stock, we mentioned that, okay, we always want to, select traits that we want. So if supposing we are animals, and then I have to breed for money, okay, even when you wouldn't have a chance to cry, I mean, the two, the long run, no turn out here. But you want, do you have any of you that is a bit heavy
Say
in the class?
minyeska, mayo bolo, minyeska,
Forget it,
mayo bolo. Yeah,
forget it,
mama
forget
10
it,
years na grandi.
forget it, forget it. Is there anybody who is a bit heavy in the class? They want to put a person on the scale. You
Yes,
see,
Rita Sewa,
okay,
body.
okay, yeah. So means so supposing an animal, then we say say why is a good breed. Okay, she's got a very good feed conversion efficiency. Jonas and Yen I am worker. She you treat her like high class woman, high class breed. I mean, almost I know here they bring us our money. So we will not wait any male to come and cross Hannah, not at all. You come and produce it and also small. That's just by the way. So we want to give animals. So animals, the feed requirement. Okay, also has a link with their body weight. So a mature cow usually weighing between 10 and 400 kg. Okay, need about 100, 50 to 250, digestible crude protein. Okay, so you need for a weight of about between 300, let's say an average of 350 kg. Okay, the person needs about 200 digestible crude protein for its maintenance. Okay, and then when they are lactating. Okay, for lactating and pregnancy. It's the requirement must go up with extra food and energy needed to support milk and then the fetal growth. Just like you pamper pregnant women, okay. Oh, me kwando, me kwando, then you provide it. The same thing to when the animals are pregnant or you're affecting babies, okay. You put them in better ration. The protein gonna have to go up so that the mother will look good and then the baby inside will also look good. You don't act like a wicked husband that I we did okunu me kunu ni bi ajaye. You don't do that. So generally, okay, cow must be fed, about less than 2.5 to 3% of dry matter content of their body weight. Generally. Then let's look at the energy and then protein requirement for sheep and goat. You should know that for sheep and goat, just like we treated their having the same way, the energy requirement is also similar. Okay, sheep and goat consume about 3 to 5% dry matter of their body weight per day. And a growing lamb, okay, of about 5 to 40 kg requires 3 to 4% dry matter, and then 33 to 67% digestible protein. And about 18, about 18 to 21% of in their daily ration, and we expect to have that in their daily ration. We also require about sheep and goat about 0.6 to 0.5, okay, for their maintenance. But for those that we are breeding them purposely for we are raising them purposely for fattening, okay, requires an average dry matter intake of about 5% of their body weight. You want them to look bigger, like like person make it. Oh, share now, you can sell them. You don't give them the 3%, you give them 5% of their body weight, so they can like the sewa group, okay. They can actually convert the feed well. So you give them what the body needs. Then 80 to about 50 to 80%, 80 grams of crude protein. Okay, the energy requirement to about 1.5 or 1.5 or to 2.9 megacal. Then when they are pregnant, their intake is 2.5 to 3% dry matter in the early gestation period. Okay, and then it goes to 3 to 4 in the late gestation period, and the protein requirement will also have to rise. Then what about the mineral requirements? I think that's the last thing we'll do for this session. So for mineral requirements, minerals are essential for metabolic growth and physiological functions of the animal. Uh, if you are not asking a question, kindly mute your microphone. But except you want to ask a question, then you're free to ask. So the minerals are classified as major and minor. Okay, And then the major or macro ones include the calcium, phosphorus, the magnesium, sodium, potassium, and then chlorine. Okay. And then the minor or micro ones are the iron, copper, cobalt, the zinc, molybdenum, and then selenium, chlorine, sulfur, chromium. So I ask you to state, any three of the micro elements and then three of the macro elements, be able to say them. So the requirement of macro minerals are expressed in grams, okay, percentages. But you have to supply the minerals adequately to prevent deficiencies. In the case of not supplying enough calcium, what do you think may be the problem? When you don't supply the animal with enough calcium,
So they will have weak bones and
okay,
teeth to chew.
okay, that's good. So what calcium and phosphorus are critical for bone development and milk production in cattle, sheep, and goats. Okay. So dairy cattle will require about 0.28% calcium and then 0.25 phosphorus. Okay. Pregnant cattle will require 0.23 calcium and 0.23 phosphorus as well. But for sheep and goats, okay, they require calcium of about 0.3 and then 0.3 also phosphorus in their diet. What are some of the sources of calcium and phosphorus in a ruminant diet? What are some of the sources of calcium and phosphorus in ruminant diet? What are some of the sources? Hmm? That's a question I'm asking. What are some of the sources of calcium and phosphorus for to be used in ruminant diets? What are some of the sources?
Cassava.
Cassava for calcium. Wow. What else again? Source of calcium, cassava. I'm listening. Who else again? Somebody already mentioned, for.
Bone meal.
Yeah, listen. Bone meal. We're talking about for strong bones and teeth. So you should know that the calcium, and phosphorus should be linked to the bone meal and what else again? So the cassava is not right. The bone meal and what else again?
The grass. So we can also talk about
Oyster
oyster.
shell. Oyster shell, yes. Dicalcium phosphate. Okay. Have you ever seen animals being given salt before?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why do you think they're provided with salt? So we usually provide the salt in the form of salt lick. Okay, I only know why we provide. Why you should at least have a fair idea of what mineral is even in salt. I should have just written here sodium chloride so that I would have known. They added, as like as supplements. Okay, so what have we been doing so far in that unit? We had briefly mentioned that ruminants require adequate energy, protein, and then minerals for maintenance and production. Hannah said, "I thought oyster shell is what?" Hannah, read out your okay.
Yeah, I said I thought oyster shell is for fowls, like Ntakrambuan.
Okay, the oyster shell. What is in it? What is in it?
Calcium.
Good. Nti sɛ akokɔ ohia calcium na ntwi deɛ ɔno ohia calcium. Apɔnkye ohia calcium.
So, we know they need calcium, but in their feeding, we normally know that ruminants always feed on grass or plant food. So,
Okay.
what exactly sources that the plants are going to give us the calcium? Because the oyster cells and those things, the calcium meal bone, we thought it was being given to those poultry and other
Okay.
animals.
Okay. Okay. That is true. That is true. When we are talking about nutrients, so you see, okay, in a case where we give them, which of my screens are you seeing? Okay. Did you hear me give an example of, the dicalcium phosphate and then
Yes, sir.
salt lake, and then, yeah. So those supplementations are there. So these days, there's what we call, these days we are doing more of, biofortification, okay, where, animals are, the plants or the feed material that are provided, are provided with, the best nutrition, so that once they want, and they don't get, the nutrition they actually want. Any other question? Okay, so let's have some few. Okay, so let's quickly look at just one unit of, the next section, and one section of the next unit, and call it a day. Are you okay? Okay. So let's quickly also look at the unit two, and then we are just doing unit two. We are just doing the first session, okay, and then we can call it a day. After here, when do we meet again? When do we meet again after here?
So Wednesday evening, like we did the last time.
Okay.
7 to 9.
Okay, Wednesday evening. Okay. Okay. That'll be fine. So we are now going to do, we're just going to introduce, pre-production. So you see, all our discussion has been about more some coin, more some coin. So we expect that, at the end of the session, we can just know the advantage and, or advantage of pre-production or other livestock feeds, okay, and then state the challenges, in pre-production in Ghana, identify strategies to adapt, to overcome these challenges. So for pig production, we feel, is there anybody here who doesn't like pork? I know our Muslim brothers, they don't like pork.
I'm number one.
You're number one. You don't like pork. Okay.
Me too.
You
Yeah.
too. I'm told pork is a very nice meat. I don't know how true that is. The people who eat pork, is it true?
Sir, please, we can hear you.
Foster talk. Foster talk.
Foster, I learned pork is your favorite meat, right?
Yes, sir. It's one of my favorites.
One of your favorites. How is it like? It's very tasty, eh?
Yes, sir. When you know how to cook it, you know how to
Oh,
prepare
okay.
it. When which bitching you the capitation. Sorry.
Hey,
Anybody
Foster. Foster.
Ah.
Foster.
So Foster is part of the guys who always combine, grilled pork, okay, with some Guinness or appetition in the corner. He's part of the group, okay. He said it, and
Oh,
then he remembered, and then he remembered he
she
was
was
in
just a
class.
slip of tongue.
He said that he remembered he was out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaketh, okay. He said it for a second, he went, oh, I'm in class. Anna and Goa, they're all part of here in this class. They say, well, the Hannah and the other groups, okay, and Nima and all that. Quickly he remembered, he said, oh, I mean, and appetite America. I mean, I mean, pork. Anyway, that's just by the way. But I'm telling you, it's a nice meat. Yeah, so in recent time, okay, pork production is gaining popularity in Ghana. Okay, it used to be something that is frowned upon, but I mean, it in recent time, I mean, it's gaining that popularity. Pig, we say, is one of the earliest domesticated farm animals. Okay, descended from the Eurasian world boar. I mean, the source clover. And then the archaeological evidence that shows that pigs domestication began from 9,000 years ago in the Middle East. Please, the 9,000 years ago, the Adventists among you, don't start judging me, okay? This is literature. Where they got their 9,000 years, I don't know. Just see it as part of what you are learning, okay? The archaeology, they said 9,000 years. Don't come and tell me, we are now in here, the Hannah in your group, are you there? Before come and tell me
Yes,
we are
sir, we are listening.
Yeah, very the plans.
9,000 years here. That one, religion and human value fund will debate on that. So unlike most livestock linked, to nomadic systems, pigs are associated with settled farming communities. If you observe, not full and from the now stress, no but you realize that for pig production, you can't be doing that with them. It's always you have to be. I mean, it's always actually the settled communities. Even in Ghana, that's what I've seen. Even though you see people allow their pigs to go out. I used to have taro behind our house. Okay, when you're younger, I don't know. Somebody came to replace, and then before like one day, the pig came to chew all the taro. Taro, cocoa, gobe.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Cocoa
that.
Haba.
I didn't know that pigs they eat anything. No. They eat everything. Carol na also na abo no mo they made the place dry. They chop everything, the from the comb to the plants, they leave everything. So pig plays an important role, okay, worldwide. I mean, when you go to Asia, I mean, the China and the other places, Charlie, pig, pork meat, Charlie, don't go there. There are so many dishes made from pork. So if you ever travel as somebody who don't eat pig and everything, you are safer going to eat from the Muslim trained restaurant, Muslim owned restaurant. They are the place you are sure that they may have dishes without the pork and stuff, but then the typical food joint, forget it. Pork and say three one. So let's look at the nutritional value of pig. These days, because of improved genetics and improved breeding, okay, uh, pigs, tend to produce a more lean meat and then a less fatty due to the modern breeding approaches. They keep on selecting and then altering the feeding programs, the animal response rate and all that. So they tend to produce pigs. I mean meat these days, pork these days that are they are lean. So if you have to compare the nutritional value that pork today produce compared to those that were produced somewhere 15, 20 years ago, okay, you could see that these days there are more edible pork per kg, that are lean. 100 grams of cooked lean pork supplies high quality protein containing all essential amino acids. Which are necessary to build and maintain and then repair the tissues and increase its resistance to infection and diseases. So pork rich in iron and minerals, okay, also support red blood cell formation and helping prevent anemia. The pork liver supplies about 3 times more as much iron, okay, than what is available in most foods. Then pork we say are rich source of vitamins, okay, the thiamine, the riboflavin, the niacin, which are essential for metabolism and appetite and skin and oral health. Pork is highly digestible and then efficiently utilized by the body. Okay. My Muslim brothers, we are learning the science and nutritional value of pork. Okay. When you ask, don't say because me I don't eat pork, I cannot write.
So right, Dodo.
This is purely academic. Okay. So the people who eat it and have done the proximate analysis and all the nutrition analysis are telling us that okay, they are rich source of protein and all the other minerals and stuff you could think of. Then pork is suitable for all age groups. Okay, it's good for children. Okay, it's good for the aged, and then it's good for young guys. Like the gentleman who add a little bit of Guinness to it in one corner with some hot pepper. I mean, it's good. I mean, good for its tenderness and nutrient density. So advantages of pork production over other livestock. The advantage of pork production over other livestock. Pigs have short generational interval, okay, rapid fecundity, okay, fast growing, making them highly productive, thereby making pig production highly profitable. My other guy had these pigs, and then when the first litter came, they were about 17, about 17. You cannot raise a cattle to give you, even 4 at a go. The pigs are highly prolific. The litter size are very high. Okay. Pig produce meat, lard, and then skin without contributing to its deterioration. The deterioration of grazing lands. They convert both conventional and non-conventional feeds to meat more efficiently than other ruminants. Aha, this is the issue. So feed conversion efficiency. They convert both conventional and non-conventional feed stuff to meat, okay, more efficiently than other ruminants. So they have that good conversion efficiency compared to the goat and sheep. The amount of pig of say here was how we be as account. They are dropping is good source of manure due to their large sickle. Pig meat is the most suitable for processing. I mean, bacon and sausages. That is why most of the sausages you guys are eating, there are people who don't take sausage, who don't take pork, but then they're eating, sausages made from pork. Okay, at some point they're going to buy sausage. They don't ask whether it's chicken or it's pork. I mean, at some point they just blend it and they are eating everything. But we say, oh, me, but when you see Hannah and her friends at the food joint, the sausage they'll be pointing at a very big one.
I don't eat outside. I don't eat outside. I cook.
Hannah, you don't have to explain this. Oh. I just give an example. You want everybody to know that, oh, you actually bought pork last Friday. You don't have to do that. Eh? So they also need relatively smaller area for housing than cattle. Okay, people they wait to come on now. When you hear say or should you or many video more question. Oh, I mean they can cool their water temperature. I mean they are good to go. They have high percentage usefulness. Okay, high dressing percentage about 70 to 75% compared to 50 to 65% for other ruminants. So the dressing percentage, okay, so who you get it? Just imagine we could oh now you have to remove the stomach while we in the room and no kakakan now be brave, fin, now be brave, but the page everywhere the hoof no can number. Aha, Kotobi, I just remembered Kotobi, that means people have been buying Kotobi. Okay, so their dressing percentage when you kill a pork, okay, the whole animal you have killed, okay, remove the hair and then the other part that are not consumable, okay, you are going to have about 75% of the body that you have killed, as meat that you can, sell. But in the case of other ruminants, you may get between 50 to 55%. They are tolerant to a wide variety of feed, even low quality, high fibrous feed, due to the presence of numerous taste buds. So pigs has taste buds of about 1,000 of about 15,000. Okay, nti adeɛ biara sɛ yɛhwɛ mo sɛ ɛbo sɛ apro sɛ ɛte sɛ pigs they can eat it. That's how come they able to eat taros behind my old residence. They can chop everything. I'm told that nipa kra we are lucky now and one kind of food that we are very well now. If you are not careful, you go and lie down somewhere. You are not careful, they'll come and chop you. So good and bad, smelling, non-smelling, because they have a wide, a very high taste buds. So pig carcasses are easier to dress and have superior, curing quality over, the other animals, and in the case of processing. Pigs adapt to most, environmental conditions. They are also very adaptable to intensify and then diversify agriculture. So there are problems,
No, me is a money,
yes. That is true. They can't stay at one place. So for they are having said all these good things about pig production, okay, there are problems. Okay, there are problems about pig production. And then the problems, you classify the problems is production problems, okay, production problems, feeding problems, okay, housing problems, marketing problems, and all that. Okay. So for production problems, low productivity, poor, feed conversion, low productivity, and so what happens is you see the pigs, you realize that our local breeds. Do you see this foreign like the pigs, the large white, okay? Our local or the land races, most of them, I want to say other human beings, yeah, like the Hana group of people. Also, they almost local ones, One year, they are production problem. Okay, the high cost of startup capital, then high interest. So high cost of startup capital. You're going to go into pre-production, you need some money to get the housing in place. Okay, getting a breeding stock and all that because you can't just be keeping face to be roaming the street in the background to be disturbing people. And then the in people like the labor, requirement is highly intense because you have to get people to be feeding them, okay, be cleaning their pens and all that. So I mean, there's a high cost of equipment. I mean, the equipment you're going to use. I mean, there's high cost of equipment. There's little or no attention to breeding programs. Okay, so indiscriminate or unplanned mating happens. Okay, Odi mu pii ya na mmarima yie wɔ nipa mu wɔ mbom yɛ kakakaka deɛ na mmɛfo man sisi a indiscriminate mating ɔmo fɔ ɔmo rɔfrɔ ayi to ɔmo ante so bi wɔ heat. And then there's little attention to their breeding program. These days, commercial farms are trying to breed for do strategic breeding. Then there's inadequate extension support. Unlike agriculture, I can't say the cocoa farmers and the other crop farmers. Okay, generally the extent of animal production is very poor. And then the environmental stress factor, high temperature, humidity, cold and all that. So feeding problems. It's time. Our time is up. Do we progress slightly for 3 minutes, or we call it a day and then continue on our next meeting? Do we continue or we should just end it? Then okay, so let's do. Uh-huh. Yeah, please say what you want to say. Yes, or we can still continue on our next meeting.
Yes, we continue our next meeting.
Oh, okay. There's light out in my area. Foster just said that there's light out in his area, so he has to go home early. Okay. All right. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? If not, we can still continue our next meeting.
Please, I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead and ask. Very quick one, then we end. The lady was for the other
Okay.
questions. You have just a minute. Just call it a day.
What I want to know is, with the ruminant, it means that we don't have a protein food, particular protein food we give to them, but rather they have something in them that converts the normal.
Please, we have protein food for ruminant, okay? We, when we set up pastures, okay, we incorporate, legumes, okay, like the mucuna, the canavaria, the puree, I mean, all the legumes we incorporate, in the pastures, okay, legumes, okay. They are highly rich in protein. They have high protein content. Don't remember we have what we call plant-based protein sources and animal-based protein sources. You get it? So for instance, your goat is chewing beans. Okay, if your goat is chewing beans, and then you said you have not fed the goat with protein. Your goat is chewing mucuna. You are saying you have not fed the goat with protein. The mucuna and the canavalia and all the other class of legumes are all what are legumes in the first place? Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible or my voice is off?
No, we can hear you, sir.
You can hear me. So his question, okay, there are protein sources for ruminants, okay. There are a lot of plant-based protein that we incorporate in ruminant diet. That's why when they prepare pasture, they are cutting food for them. All those are included. So that is that. All right. On that note, we'll meet when? Is it Wednesday or Thursday? When? When do we meet again?
Wednesday, sir.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll meet on Wednesday then. Have a good evening.
Good evening, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.